Hello everyone, I'm Sarah. Why does my voice sound weird and why is my nose a little red? I have a cold. Yay, it's awesome. Anywho, I'm here today to do my February wrap-up and March TBR. So to kick things off, the first book I read in February was The Shadow Throne by Jennifer A. Nielsen. This is the third and final book in the Ascendance trilogy. I almost forgot the name of it. I'm not going to get too much into this book. I do have a review filmed for all three books, the trilogy, and I have no idea if that will be going up before this video, or going up afterwards, but I will put a link to it in the description down below so you can go check out the review. I don't want to spoil things if you haven't read the trilogy and are looking to read the trilogy, so I'm not going to say anything other than I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 5 stars out of 5. I definitely recommend this book. The next book I read was an audiobook called Red Mist by Patricia Cornwell, and I maybe shouldn't have started in the middle of the series, but the premise behind the book interested me, so I tried it out. Didn't like it. I gave it a 3. It had good writing. The book left no lasting impression with me other than I'm not reading that one again, and I'm not recommending it. Just some of the thought process that the characters went through didn't exactly make sense to me, or like there were things missing. I just never really got into the book. The next book I read was Brotherhood and Death by J.D. Robb. This is the 42nd book in the In Death series. The book starts with Eve investigating the death of a well-known high and tidy society guy who's found by his grandson hanging in the entryway to his home, only to find out that this murder is linked to another murder that happens a little later. And so then Eve must find the connection. In the book, because of her past, Eve fights with her inner demons and her past. While she thinks she's put it to bed, it kind of sneaks up on her in her dreams, or rather, I guess in this case, a nightmare. The way Eve's character thinks of things is interesting. It's almost like a child's view of the world, but coming from an adult. And just these like connections that she makes. It's like, yeah, you're right. I definitely recommend this book. I gave it 5 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. The fourth book I finished for the month of February was another audiobook, Born of Shadows, which is the 5th book of the League series by Sherilyn Kenyon. This was a reread, or since it was an audiobook, a re-listen for me. It follows Kalen Dagan. He grew up on the streets and in an attempt to save his sister gets caught getting her out of trouble, so he kind of takes her place in the trouble and gets arrested. And when he's arrested, he finds out, because in this universe they run DNA tests on all the criminals to link them up, so it doesn't matter what name you use, if it's a false name, real name, whatever, your DNA is your DNA. And they find out that he is a prince, the Lust Prince, and only son to an emperor of one of the largest empires, and he must basically learn to be a prince and live in the hoity-toity culture and stop an assassin plan from killing his dad. However, on his little adventure, he gets trapped with another female, but from another like race, and she doesn't understand, as they call it, the universal language. Kind of like how in our world we have American and French and Spanish and whatnot. They have a language that is known by everybody. So you'd have your American and your English, but you'd also have universal. So Americans would learn universal, Japanese would learn universal, and they could use the universal language to speak between them. But she doesn't really understand the language, she can't read it, she can't really write it, and hits the wrong button on an ejector pod, and that's where their fun really begins. So definitely recommend it. Again, I gave it 5 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. The 5th book I read for the month of February was Dark Haven, which is the 3rd book in the Chronicles of the Necromancer, and it is by Gail Z. Martin. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. By the title of the book, you'd think that there would be more to do with Dark Haven, which is the estate that Jean-Marc was awarded with his title as Lord of Darkhaven. And being Lord of Darkhaven, kind of the ruler of the vampires, but they don't want a mortal ruler. But I felt like there was hardly any time spent at Darkhaven or even about Darkhaven. It still jumped between Darkhaven, the Triss's kingdom, and a few other surrounding kingdoms as they kind of get in cahoots either to back Triss up in the war that he's about to go to, or the plans to demolish Triss and the Margolian Empire and kind of take over the land. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. You can kind of tell as you get to the end because there were just so many loose ends that you're not gonna have any kind of wrap up or any kind of satisfaction. But at the same time, I felt like it moved slower than the other stories, so it was still great writing, great descriptions, great characters, and I still want to read the next book. The 6th and final book was another audiobook that I listened to, which was Secret Sisters. I do have the physical book. I got this for my sister for her birthday, and I also bought me a copy intending to do kind of like a buddy read thing. And when she came over and said that she was, I kind of told her, you know, it's up to you when you want to start the book. So when she told me that she was starting the book, I was in the middle of a few other books. I had no trouble putting them down, but in that one night she got like 60 pages ahead of me. And I knew with my work schedule I wasn't going to be able to find time to actually read the book. So I listened to the audiobook. In the story, Madeline has returned to Washington State. Her grandmother has recently died. And the groundskeeper for her grandmother's hotel, which closed down years ago, calls and says, "Quick, you need to get over here. We need to talk in person." And she gets there just in time as he's dying, basically, and so she kind of stumbles upon his murder. And so they begin, they being her and her bodyguard, start looking into the murder of the groundskeeper and the murder of her grandmother and all these little bits and pieces that all actually go back to an event back in her early childhood. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars, so I'd still recommend it. And now that the month is almost half over, I'm finally picking my TBR. Yeah, it's been a busy month. So let's see. Ooh, I still smell some of the kale that was in here. Let's see. The classics. And of course it doesn't want to focus on that. It says classics, I promise. I already have a few ideas. I will probably have to get them on audiobook just because the classics I have in mind are kind of long. And like I said, the month is already half over. So, yeah. I'll be trying out some of the classics this month. And that is all I have for you. So if you've liked this video, please go ahead and like it or subscribe to my channel. I post new videos basically when I can. And if you have any questions or suggestions, things that you'd like to see me talk about, feel free to tweet me at PixieReads, and I will see you next time with a new video. Bye for now!